Today on the British Chamber of Commerce presents Afternoon Tea With, we have Radu Surdeanu, Director of Public Affairs at Siemens.
3 weeks after I started, they decided to move the entire project to Belgium. That's how I ended up in Belgium. Brussels bubble jargon. It took me a while to get used to it. Brussels is a fantastic city with so many internationals there, and it's truly a great place.
Welcome to the British Chamber of Commerce presents Afternoon Tea With. And this is a series where we look to explore the professional and sometimes personal experiences of some key and notable figures working in and around Brussels. And hopefully we can leave each episode with some advice from the people that have been there, they've done it, and bought the t-shirt, as they say. So today we have the British Chamber of Commerce presents Afternoon Tea with Dr. Radu Surdeanu, who is Senior Director of Government Affairs at Siemens. Hi, Radu, how are you doing?
Hi, Diego. I'm well, thanks. Thanks for the invitation.
Well, thanks for joining us for afternoon tea. Do you have your tea with you?
Yeah, I have my tea with me, yeah.
Very good. So Radu, let's maybe start with, if you can just give a brief introduction to everybody of yourself and how you came to Brussels.
Yeah, it was quite a journey. So I'm Romanian. I was born in Cluj. It's in Transylvania. It's the biggest city in Transylvania. And I'm a physicist. And in my third year of studies, there was the opportunity to go for the first time with Erasmus scholarships abroad, going from east to the west. So I took this opportunity to go and study in Amsterdam. And I loved it there. And I stayed there for my master's and for my PhD. And at that time, the biggest hype, just like now, is artificial intelligence. At that time, it was high temperature superconductors, and it was quite funky. It was a lot of quantum physics, and I truly enjoyed my time there. And then, it was the year 2000, and to choose a place to go after the PhD, I chose to go to the NAT lab in the Netherlands, which was the research labs of Philips. And at that time, they were very broad oriented, and they looked really in a lot of domains. So the possibilities were endless there. But then 3 weeks after I started, they decided to move the entire project to Belgium. That's how I ended up in Belgium. So my group leader came and said, "Look, you just started. You can choose to stay in Eindhoven, or you can give it a try and see how Belgium is." And then, actually, we went out with the entire project. We went out one night in Leuven. And then after that one night, we decided, okay, we're all going to move to Leuven. And we were the first core industrial partner of IMEC, the biggest institute in this part of the world, and it's located in Leuven. And it was a fantastic learning experience. It was very challenging from not only professional point of view, but also cultural point of view. And the clash of cultures between the Dutch culture, between the Belgian culture, and then also a very, very international environment, which I really, really loved. And yeah.
Well, so I guess that leads me to a first really obvious question, and actually a bit of a spin. So you're an engineer.
I'm a physicist, yes.
Yeah, so as an engineer, I guess you must have had quite a specific kind of expectation for what Brussels was. And so what were your expectations coming to Brussels, or being involved with the Brussels bubble, as they say?
Yeah, so I was at that time I was working in research, and I realized, being 5-7 years in research, and you see all these brilliant ideas passing by, and you come up with great ideas and everything, and it's very difficult to get an idea from research to a product on the market. And I really wanted to understand what was going on. And then one of my projects we had on LED lighting, making electronics for LED lighting, and the market just didn't pick up. But the European Commission in 2010, they said, starting in 2011, all the cars on the road have to have the lights on. And the market within 1 quarter just boomed. Yeah. And I said, okay, this is what I want to understand. And that's when I made a switch, and I said, okay, I want to understand more the government affairs. I want to understand more how the funding and financing, how the regulation works. And in the end, I ended up, after several changing positions within Philips and NXP at that time, I ended up at Siemens at Government Affairs in Brussels. And it was a great move, moving from a world where everybody's an engineer, a physicist, and the ultimate virtue is to be super critical with all the ideas. Moving to Brussels was beyond my expectations. Seeing the openness of the people and being critical to a certain point, but then being open to change your mind and to have a compromise, to get multiple ideas together to move further into a better world.
So I know you have quite the fascination for being able to explain things clearly. And I know I understand, being a TED organizer myself, I know you're very involved with the TED organization as well in Leuven. Yeah. So I guess coming to Brussels, that takes a unique skill, doesn't it, as an engineer, to have all these really complicated ideas and put them forward in quite a straightforward manner. Is that something that that led you to Brussels, the ability to be able to do that?
My first impulse was to move to the Brussels bubble and to understand this regulatory part, was for me to understand what's going on. But then I realized that in Brussels bubble, we truly need more physicists, who are able to express and to explain, what's going on. And my first part of the job at Siemens was to deal with artificial intelligence. And artificial intelligence gives us now this fantastic opportunity to break down the silos between different domains. But then you need the right people to explain, to understand all these domains, and to be able to talk different languages, let's say, between these different domains. And I realized, a few months in, I realized, oh, I can do that. And then I was thinking, where does this come from? And then one of my idols in physics is Richard Feynman, and who is a Nobel Prize winner, but then he could still explain it and there are various YouTube videos on him. Within 1.5 minutes, he can explain a very difficult concept. And then one of the interviewers asked him, how did you come to this fantastic skill? And he said, look, when I was a kid, every time I asked a question to my father, why is the sky blue, and all this little things that kids ask, my father always took the time and explained it to me, without saying, look, this is too complicated, you're too young to understand this. No, he took the time and explained it. And then we got our first kid and so on. So I said, okay, I'm going to apply the same thing to my kids. And then you realize your weaknesses in understanding. If you cannot explain it to a kid, you have a weakness in your thinking. And
so Radu, what you're saying is, in order to succeed in Brussels, you need to be able to talk as if you were talking to children, to talk to the professionals in Brussels.
I think if you have to put yourself in the shoes of the other one. Yeah. I think that's what's the best thing, how I can explain it, and then to be open to listen to the questions they have, because you can have it in your head that, look, this is how I need to explain it, but then you realize in the first few seconds, this is not the way. Right. And then you have to be open, and that's what I love about Brussels, because people are like this. Working in associations together with all these different companies and trying to reach a compromise, you need to listen to everybody and be able to to be flexible enough with your thoughts and with your explanation in such a way that we can move on
And do
together.
you find that people are very, very accepting of new ideas in Brussels? And further, I mean, how have you found, you know what your expectation was, but how have you found professionally the actual experience of working here? And also personally, was there anything that was slightly different than you may have expected?
What there were two things. So one of the things is the Brussels jargon. Brussels bubble jargon. It took me a while to get used to it. I mean, people talk differently than outside Brussels. It's really funny, and the that was one of the things that that amazed me, that this thing. And the other one is maybe it's due to this because people work in Brussels, they live in Brussels. It's a bit of, they lost a bit of connections with the world outside Brussels. And that's why I like to live still in Leuven, because you move just outside Brussels and you see different type of questions, different types of attitudes, different. But working wise, I really love it in Brussels, and I really learned a lot the past 2.5 years.
So you'd say, from a personal perspective, working in Brussels is great, but living in Brussels from a personal perspective, probably it's more advisable to live slightly outside.
Well, this is what I'm enjoying, actually. So it really depends on what you want. If you think for yourself, look, Brussels bubble is my tribe, and I want to understand and explore even more, then it's great. I mean, Brussels is a fantastic city with so many internationals there, and it's truly a great place. And then the food is amazing as well. So with all these international cuisines there, but what I truly enjoy is to just live outside Brussels and then get the view from outside Brussels bubble, and try to integrate also the views from outside the bubble and inside the bubble, and then bringing fresh ideas into the bubble.
And of course, Brussels, it's a big city, but actually in terms of living there, we also live just outside of Brussels, but in fact, from door to door, it's only 14 kilometers.
Yeah.
And out where I am, we're sort of in the middle of the green. So you don't need to live that far away to still really appreciate a different perspective. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So what would you say, just to kind of cap off the chat, what would you say would be your word of advice to anybody that's thinking of coming to Brussels, or somebody that's working here, maybe they've just started? What would you say is critical for them to know?
What I think is the world we're living now has reached this stage where being an expert in something does not help you further. So in that sense, not directly, not directly, but it will help you if you work together with other people. So you see it also with artificial intelligence that breaks down all the silos between different domains. So you need to be open for different ideas and listen to the people around you, and try to integrate all these ideas around you. And I think one of the ways that I'm trying to do is approaching myself also first with compassion, that saying, look, I don't understand everything in this world, so you need to be a beginner at every step. You have to allow yourself the vulnerability to be the beginner in a different domain, to understand what's happening around you, and then try slowly to integrate different ideas, and then have the same compassion with your friends and family, and then also the acquaintances that you have, because they have the same struggle as you have. We have, our thinking is linear. We can learn things linearly, but the technology evolution is exponential. So how do you bridge this gap? And we need to work together with technology, and we need to have compassion with ourselves that we cannot understand everything at the same like we used to do when it was in the 70s. It was a technology push. Technology companies would just create a product and people would buy it. Now it's a total different dynamic.
Yeah, I once had a professor that said, ignorance is forgivable, but indifference isn't. And I think, and his point was really the same thing. It was a case of, it's okay for you not to understand something. It's okay to say, I don't know, but you should try and find out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very good. Radu, thank you very, very much for your time. Thanks for joining me for a chat over afternoon tea. And I hope to speak to you very soon.
Yeah. Many thanks for the invite. It was a pleasure.
Talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon. Bye.